The context is important. Democrats only won the elections because of court-ordered redistricting pursuant to the Voting Rights Act, a flagrantly unconstitutional and anti-white piece of civil rights era legislation about to be struck down by the Supreme Court. So they redrew the maps on the basis of race in order to steal more votes. And what do you know? Well, they stole a lot of votes. That's the story. And once the Supreme Court gets rid of the Voting Rights Act, which it looks like they will, this particular kind of story won't happen again. Lee Kuan Yew, the first prime minister of Singapore and one of the country's modern founding fathers, put it this way. In multiracial societies, you don't vote in accordance with your economic interests and social interests. You vote in accordance with race and religion. Well, that's it. That was obviously the case on Tuesday in New York.
Well, folks, Zohran Mamdani campaigned as a smarmy, smiling, empathetic gentleman who only cared about affordability and just wanted to help you. And he got a bunch of fun videos around bodegas and eating rice with his hands and speaking in various languages. And it was all happy-dappy-do. And now here comes the hammer, because Zohran Mamdani has made very clear that he wants to actually do all the things he said he was going to do. And so New Yorkers are about to find out the ticket that they just bought, and they're about to take the ride. According to the New York Times, a newly empowered Zohran Mamdani on Wednesday vowed to use his convincing victory in the New York City's mayor race as a mandate to push an ambitious progressive agenda past potential obstacles from billionaire antagonists to Albany bureaucracy. In a shift from the mollifying tone he had used for months, Mr. Mamdani made clear that while he would govern for all New Yorkers, he was determined to deliver for those who had been agitating for structural change. One of my least favorite phrases in all of politics, I'm here to govern for everyone. Okay, that's what the government does. The government literally makes legislation that affects everyone, but clearly you are not. You are here to govern for the people and on behalf of the people who elected you, namely far, far left progressives and third worldists. I mean, that is what Zohran Mamdani is here to do. He's here to govern on behalf of socialism and pro-jihadism and chew bubble gum, and he's all out of bubble gum. He said in a phone interview, quote, "I'm also looking to be clear about the mandate that we won over the course of this election. It is a mandate to deliver on the agenda that he ran on." He had said that he was going to try to find creative ways to pay for his signature policies without radically increasing taxes, and then he immediately reversed himself, and then he started talking about taxing the rich. Quote, "My supporters and our movement are hungry for a politics of consistency, a politics that actually focuses on the needs of working people. I think our tax system is an example of the many ways in which working people have been betrayed." Now, as we talked about on the program yesterday, actually, the amount of tax revenue derived from the top of the top of the top of the income tax bracket in New York City is far out of proportion to their percentage of the population. I mean, it is not even close. The top 0.1% of income earners in New York pay 25% of all the tax revenue in New York City. And he's saying that somehow this is targeting working people, which is an astonishing claim. I mean, just on a statistical level, it's an astonishing claim. The New York Times is trying to make excuses for all of this. His confidence is understandable. He's the first New York City mayoral candidate since John Lindsay to win over 1 million votes. Now, let's be clear. The reason he won over 1 million votes is not because he is so much more popular than all the other candidates of the last 30 years, 40 years, who have not won that number of votes. That's the reality.
Zohran Mamdani's election as mayor of New York. And the more you look into exactly how Zohran Mamdani won this race, the more you realize exactly what Republicans need to start doing if we want to prevent socialists from replicating their success in every other major city in this country. So we'll put probably the single most important statistics on the screen right now. And this is kind of all you need to know. It's an exit poll asking voters how long they've lived in New York City, along with who they voted for. So as you can see there, Mamdani won 83% of voters who have lived in New York City for less than 5 years. So I'll say that again. Mamdani won 83% of voters who have lived in the city for less than 5 years. Cuomo received just 15% of those voters. And as you can see from the rest of the numbers in this poll, the longer that people have lived in the city, the less likely they were to vote for Mamdani. It's a sliding scale. Among New Yorkers who were actually born in the city, Cuomo was ahead of Mamdani by double digits. Okay, that's this. all of the analysis that people are doing and looking at all the numbers and this and that and looking at the economy, it's really got nothing to do with it. This is everything. Okay? In other words, the people who have invested the least into New York City, the people who don't really own any property, don't have family connections, don't have any ancestral ties to the city at all, haven't paid taxes for social services or city infrastructure, who just arrived on a direct flight from the third world, they are the ones dictating the future of New York to actual New Yorkers. Again, 40% of New Yorkers weren't even born in the United States. The word for this situation is not migration or mass migration. The word is invasion. It is a hostile takeover by people who have absolutely nothing to lose because they're not gambling with their families or their futures. And they're deciding the direction of a country that they don't care about. They can pick up and leave once they ransack New York. And that's exactly what they intend to do. They'll move to another city in another state, and they will repeat the process. These disaffected young adults in New York are voting for the exact problems that they're complaining about. The people who have lived in New York for their whole lives understand very well that rent has doubled in the past few years precisely because New York has imported so many foreigners, so many third worlders, people who think and talk just like Zohran Mamdani. As a result of open borders, millions of newcomers, as Democrats call them, are now competing with New Yorkers for jobs and housing and emergency services and everything else. And instead of deporting these foreigners, New York's government has simply expanded its welfare state to include every single one of them. They all get free pre-K now and free buses and free health care and free housing and free bail when they commit felonies, which a lot of them do. Now, over in the third world, that sounds like a pretty good deal. But actual New Yorkers, actual Americans know through experience, if nothing else, what happens next. Prices go up for everyone. The affordability crisis gets even worse. And you can't solve the problem with higher taxes because none of the invaders are paying taxes. You know, the tax-paying New Yorkers are leaving. But the other problem with believing that the socialists are onto something and that we should blame capitalism and the financial institutions is that voters in New York, they don't actually care about the economy. Okay? These voters, the less time they've spent in New York, so we're supposed to believe that this is all about the economy, even though it's the people who've been here for 5 seconds. The people that have been in this economy for 5 seconds are the people who put Mamdani over the top. And so it's about the economy, really? He won 83% of the vote for people who just got here. And we're supposed to believe that what tipped it was the economic situation? Are you insane?
और बहनों, इस इलेक्शन में सिर्फ 20 दिन बचे हैं और चॉइस मेरे और एंड्रू कोमो के बीच में है। अगर आप पहली बार इलेक्शन के बारे में जान रहे हैं तो ये है जो एंड्रू कोमो ऑफर कर रहा है।
आज मेरे पास बिल्डिंगें हैं, प्रॉपर्टी है, बैंक बैलेंस है, बंगला है, गाड़ी है, क्या है तुम्हारे पास?
आपकी वजह से हमने $8 मिलियन रेज किया है, 6 लाख से ज्यादा दरवाजे खटखटाए हैं और बस इतने करीब है इस शहर का पहला साउथ एशियन मेयर बनाने के लिए। बात ये है कि मैं क्या करूंगा हमारे कम्युनिटीज के लिए और हर एक न्यूयॉर्कर के लिए। मैं हमारे शहर को अफोर्डेबल बनाऊंगा। न्यूयॉर्कर्स मुश्किल से अफोर्ड कर रहे हैं रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान। मैं ये सब बदलने के लिए लड़ रहा हूँ। रेंट फ्री बसेस, यूनिवर्सल चाइल्ड केयर और सस्ती ग्रोसरीज के जरिए। पर आपको एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ, तुमने कभी किसी को वोट किया? कभी किसी को रैंक किया? देखो, यहाँ न्यूयॉर्क सिटी में हम रैंक चॉइस वोटिंग यूज करते हैं। इसका मतलब है कि सिर्फ एक कैंडिडेट को चूज करने के बजाय आप 5 कैंडिडेट्स तक को रैंक कर सकते हैं। अपनी बैलेट और आवाज में ताकत होती है। इसलिए मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप मुझे, ज़ोहरान ममदानी को, अपने बैलेट पे पहले नंबर पे रैंक कीजिए। और सिर्फ मुझे नहीं, बाकी बैलेट भी जरूर भरना। ये 3 दूसरे कैंडिडेट्स हैं जिनको आप रैंक कीजिए। लेकिन एक बात याद रखना, एंड्रू कोमो को रैंक नहीं करना। उसका कैंपेन ट्रंप के डोनर्स के पैसों से चल रहा है। अगर वो जीता तो डीसी के साथ साथ एनवाईसी भी उनका होगा। विश्वास नहीं होता तो खुद उनसे सुनिए कि क्या होगा अगर कोमो जीता तो।
खाना मिलेगा, पीना मिलेगा, भैया की शादी है, सब कुछ।
बिलियनियर्स के पास ऑलरेडी सब कुछ है। अब आपका टाइम आ गया। I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of the city. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt who stopped taking the subway because she did not feel safe in her hijab. I want to speak to the Muslim city worker, whether they teach in our schools or walk the beat for the NYPD. I am a terrorist. I would cheer another 9/11. Our movement seeks to burn churches and destroy communities. Eid Mubarak. I stand before you as we celebrate the end of Ramadan. We celebrate the end of our fast.